I am Ra. I greet you in the love and in the light of the one infinite Creator. I communicate now. Question 87.1. Questioner, could you first please give me the condition of the instrument? Answer, I am Ra. The distortions of the physical complex are unchanged. The vital energy levels are greatly enhanced. Question 87.2. Questioner, thank you. In considering what was mentioned in the last session about the sensor, I have thought about the fact that the position of the origin of the smoke changes approximately 6 inches horizontally. Would it be better to have a sensor in a single, horizontal smoking position? Answer, I am Ra. This alteration would be an helpful one given that the sensor is virgin. Question 87.3. Questioner, what would be the optimum geometrical arrangement of censer, chalice, and candle with respect to the Bible and table and the positions that we now have them in? Answer, I am Ra. Both chalice and candle occupy the optimal configuration with respect to the book, most closely aligned with the law of one in the distortion complexes of this instrument. It is optimal to have the censer to the rear of this book and centered at the spine of its open configuration. Question 87.4. Questioner, would a position directly between the chalice and the candle be optimum, then, for the censer? Answer, I am Ra. This is not an exact measurement since both chalice and candle are irregularly shaped. However, speaking roughly, this is correct. Question 87.5. Questioner, thank you. What is the present situation with respect to our fifth density negative companion? Answer, I am Ra. This entity has withdrawn for a period of restoration of its polarity. Question 87.6. Questioner, would you expand upon the concept of the acquisition of polarity by this particular entity, its use, specifically, of this polarity other than the simple, obvious need for sixth density harvest, if this is possible, please? Answer, I am Ra. We would. The nature of the densities above your own is that the purpose may be said to be shared by both positive and negative polarities. This purpose is the acquisition of the ability to welcome more and more the less and less distorted love light and light love of the one infinite Creator. Upon the negative path, the wisdom density is one in which power over others has been refined until it is approaching absolute power. Any force such as the force your group and those of Ra offer which cannot be controlled by the power of such a negative fifth density mind, body, spirit complex then depolarizes the entity which has not controlled other self. It is not within your conscious selves to stand against such refined power, but rather it has been through the harmony, the mutual love, and the honest calling for aid from the forces of light which have given you the shield and buckler. Question 87.7. Questioner, what is the environmental situation of this particular fifth density entity, and how does he work with fourth density negative entities in order to establish power and control? What is his particular philosophy with respect to himself as Creator and with respect to the use of the first distortion and the extension of the first distortion to the fourth density negative? I hope that this isn't too complex a question. Answer, I am Ra. The environment of your companion is that of the rock, the cave, the place of barrenness, for this is the density of wisdom, and that which is needed may be thought and received. To this entity very little is necessary upon the physical, if you will, or space-time complex of distortions. Such an entity spends its consciousness within the realms of time-space in an attempt to learn the ways of wisdom through the utmost use of the powers and resources of the self. Since the self is the Creator, the wisdom density provides many informative and fascinating experiences for the negatively polarized entity. In some respects one may see a more lucid early attachment to wisdom from those of negative polarity, as the nexus of positions of consciousness upon which wisdom is laid is simpler. The relationship of such an entity to fourth density negative entities is one of the more powerful and the less powerful. The negative path posits slavery of the less powerful as a means of learning the desire to serve the self to the extent that the will is brought to bear. It is in this way that polarity is increased in the negative sense. Thus fourth density entities are willing slaves of such a fifth density entity, there being no doubt whatsoever of the relative power of each. Question 87.8. Questioner, a reflection of this could be seen in our density and many of those leaders who instigate war and have followers who support, in total conviction that the direction of conquest is correct. Is this correct? Answer, I am Ra. Any organization which demands obedience without question upon the basis of relative power is functioning according to the above described plan. Question 87.9. Questioner, one point that I am not clear on is the understanding and use of the first distortion by fifth and fourth density negative entities in manipulating third density entities. I would like to know how the first distortion affects the attempts to carry out the conquest of third density entities and the attempt to add them under the premise of the first distortion to their social memory complexes. Would you expand on that concept, please? Answer, I am Ra. This latter plan is not one of which fourth density negative social memory complexes are capable. The fourth density habit is that of offering temptations and of energizing pre-existing distortions. Fourth density entities lack the subtlety and magical practice which the fifth density experience offers. Question 87.10. Questioner, it seems though that in the case of many UFO contacts that have occurred on this planet that there must be some knowledge of the news of the first distortion. The fourth density entities have carefully remained aloof and anonymous, you might say, for the most part, so that no proof in a concrete way of their existence is available. How are they oriented with respect to this type of contact? Answer, I am Ra. We misperceived your query, thinking it was directed towards this particular type of contact. The nature of the fourth density's observance of the free will distortion, while pursuing the seeding of the third density thought patterns, is material which has already been covered. That which can be offered of the negatively oriented information is offered. It is altered to the extent that the entity receiving such negative information is of positive orientation. Thus many such contacts are of a mixed nature. Question 87.11. Questioner, I'm sorry for getting confused on my question here and not asking it correctly. There is a philosophical point of central importance that I am trying to clear up here. It has to do with the fact that fourth density negative seems to be aware of the first distortion. They are in an unveiled condition, and they seem to use this knowledge of the first distortion to maintain the situation that they maintain in contacts with this planet. I am trying to extract their ability to understand the mechanism of the first distortion and the consequences of the veiling process and still remain in a mental configuration of separation on the negative path. I hope that I have made myself clear there. I have had a hard time asking this question. Answer, I am Ra. The answer may still not satisfy the questioner. We ask that you pursue it until you are satisfied. The fourth density negative entity has made the choice available to each at third density harvest. It is aware of the full array of possible methods of viewing the universe of the one creator, and it is convinced that the ignoring and non-use of the green ray energy center will be the method most efficient in providing harvestability of fourth density. Its operations among those of third density which have not yet made this choice are designed to offer to each the opportunity to consider the self-serving polarity and its possible attractiveness. Question 87.12. Questioner, it seems to me that this is a service to others' action in offering the possibility of the self-serving path. What is the relative effect of polarization in this action? I don't understand that. Answer, I am Ra. In your armed bands a large group marauds and pillages successfully. The success of the privates is claimed by the corporals, the success of corporals by sergeants, then lieutenants, captains, majors, and finally the commanding general. Each successful temptation, each successful harvestable entity is a strengthener of the power and polarity of the fourth density social memory complex which has had this success. Question 87.13. Questioner, if one mind, body, spirit complex is harvested from third density to a fourth density social memory complex, is the total power of the social memory complex before the absorption of this single entity doubled when this entity is absorbed? Answer, I am Ra. No. Question 87.14. Questioner, the law of doubling, then, does not work in this way. How much does the power of the social memory complex increase relative to this single entity that is harvested and absorbed into it? Answer: I am Ra. If one entity in the social memory complex is responsible for this addition to its being, that mind, body, spirit complex will absorb, in linear fashion, the power contained in the, shall we say, recruit. If a subgroup is responsible, the power is then this subgroup's. Only very rarely is the social memory complex of negative polarity capable of acting totally as one being. The loss of polarity due to this difficulty, to which we have previously referred as a kind of spiritual entropy, is quite large.